So this is James's salad, and the flies really want to go after it, so I'm going to let him start eating it, and I'm going to talk about trap. James has a whole stack of books
stuff,
here.
But Mathematics Bible,
so that's
and
mostly what he's going to talk about.
Tom Sawyer and
yeah.
Huckleberry Finn, I think. So.
And he certainly will have a chance to talk about that after I...
Yeah, you haven't watched that much.
Yeah, so if you can get rid of those shrimp, that'd be awesome. So, the salad. It's a pretty good recipe, I think. It's I melted mozzarella cheese on an assortment of different tomatoes,
Yeah.
and then I put that on a bed of spinach, and then so fresh spinach, and then I put some nasturtium flowers and borage flowers on the top, and sun
Borage
chips.
Are little blue ones, yeah.
Yeah, just a few sun chips, and then the shrimp around the edge for James to use up. So I'm going to talk about trap while he gets rid of that shrimp, and then I'm going to go harvest some tomatoes in his yard. So, trap. This is a story about, oh, I guess I should talk about the smoothie too. Okay, so while he's eating his shrimp, I'm going to also tell you about the smoothies. Today's
First
smoothie.
of all, I just want to say, I just finished part of a smoothie, maybe about this much,
Yeah.
is it? After eating a couple of pancakes from Pancake Breakfast. We were talking about it on
Yeah.
the way here.
Yeah, how
Ordinary-
sugar, when sugar knocks you out,
Yeah.
but it's a terrible sleep. And
Judging
I
from
think-
the after effects, the way
I
you
think
feel when you
it's-
wake up.
yeah, it's so bad. So I think that it's like when you get older, that happens. You eat a bit of sugar and boy, it clunks you out. You just go right out. And I think it's like a, kind of like a diabetic coma. You know, not a diabetic coma, but you know, along that lines, and that's why the sleep is just so terrible. Your body just can't handle that high dose of sugar like that. But
After
if you
drinking
eat
that,
it in fruit, you know, with the whole fruit, well, it handles it just fine. James
so
has
after
lost.
drinking that 1/3 of
Yeah.
one of Pauline's smoothies,
Mhm.
I had one of the best sleeps of my life.
Yeah.
Had one of our little dogs cuddling, kind of,
Well, that's
in
always
my
nice.
armpit. But I woke up and I felt, wow, I'm just, it's like I was floating on there. Pretty
Yeah.
good.
And well, it helps that it's a high of +24 today. So, oh, what a relief! That's just about perfect,
It
right?
was
It's
just right
lovely.
indoors.
Yeah. So that's nice. And yeah. So anyway, today's smoothie, the recipe is about 3 cups of cantaloupe and 1 cup of pitted frozen Evans cherries, and about 1/4 cup of ginger mint leaves,
I saw you picking those freshly picked.
and a cup of coconut milk. I had to put a little bit of water because I didn't have quite enough fluid, which is surprising because I put so much cantaloupe. And then I put 1 dose of omega-3 oil, the lemon flavored stuff. So how are you finding this today?
I maybe taste the tang of lemon.
Yeah.
And mint, you were saying?
Yeah.
But it's mainly cantaloupe.
But you can't taste the omega-3 taste? That's good, because like we talked about in a previous video, omega-3 fatty acids they don't taste good.
They don't taste good.
Wow,
and
these flies
the
love
taste-
that. They're just every fly in the neighborhood is coming over they're like, oh wow, we love this.
They
smell of
were
shrimp."
already here, actually. The idea, it was a good idea to compost here, the previous shrimp,
Well, just put it over there.
something like that.
Like, yeah, chuck them further into the perennial bed.
Yeah.
Because that's the point. If you chuck them right here, they're already going for the shrimp. So, anyway, trap. This is an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I've talked about his movies before. He makes a lot of them, and they tend to not not be good.
Too many of them?
Well, he's just not that good at making movies. I love his name, M. Night Shyamalan. It's terrific. It's like midnight, and because
there we
his
go.
stuff is like kind of thrillerish, a little bit
Noir.
supernatural, thrillerish usually, but this one's not supernatural at all. So this one is about, well, it says on the cover, 30,000 fans, 300 cops, one serial killer, no escape. And you would think, I thought, that it would be no escape from the serial killer, like he's wilding on 30,000 fans or something. I didn't know what was going on. But no, it's one serial killer, and the police are there to trap him. They know he's going to be at this concert, and you're thinking, well, how in the world could he know? But M. Night Shyamalan does actually tell the story pretty well this time. It all flows along, and you go, yeah, that's somewhat believable in the end, and whatever. So as far as his movies go, this one doesn't suck. It's I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but it's watchable. And
It was semi-realistic, that music that would draw 30,000 people today.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and
Yeah.
it was the trap for me was listening to that music and not getting away from it.
Yeah, because
It was
you know
awful.
the audience is like 13-year-old girls. The whole audience.
It
right?
sounded a bit like Taylor Swift or something.
Yeah. Oh well, maybe better though. The woman had a lovely voice, really.
Maybe better.
Yeah, and
But the material.
prettier woman actually.
Is that
Really.
true?
Yep.
I don't think Taylor Swift has very large eyes. They always play up the lips.
Yeah. Well, they played this woman's eyelashes up humongous and
Well,
stuff
that's
too, but
big fashion nowadays. It's been that way for about 5
yeah,
years.
you know, it's funny because I tried putting false eyelashes on because my eyelashes are not very big. James's are like 10 feet long.
Yeah, my mom used to say it's about my only decent feature, but that the nurses where I was born is in Africa. It would have been a segregated hospital, understand? We're saying he should have been born a girl.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
heck? I didn't like that when I was a boy when she was saying that.
Yep. So, about the salad. In hindsight, I shouldn't have put the shrimp on it, obviously. You can see this. You can see how many flies James is having
No,
to
I don't care.
get
I'm keeping
rid
them
of
off. No.
rid of them while he's trying to eat his salad. They're all over. They just really want to get at it. He's having to wave them off constantly. So, anyway, you can put the tails over here, and then they'll go after that, maybe.
They're going to.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, there were things that I didn't quite believe in the movie, but it doesn't really matter. They didn't, nothing really threw me off that much that I was like, oh well.
They kind of gave you a lead into, like I was kind of creeped out by the person who ended up being the person they were going after.
Yeah.
But he didn't think about it. He's just a bit creeped out. That's all.
Yeah. Thought he was a bit different, but I think they cast him well, or he did a good job because
Spoiler alert, it's a guy they're going after.
Yeah, but you know it's going to be it's really quickly in. And I like the way the story was told. I don't want to give more away than that, but so that it's a different kind of perspective in the story, you know, who you're following and whatever. And I kind of like that. So I think M. Night Shyamalan did the job here. So, Trap. It's worth watching. And James is just finishing up his last shrimp, which is great because I'm going to leave him to book reviews.
Just keep talking a little.
Okay.
It was the
I'm
second day in a
gonna take
row I've seen
these.
city vehicles cruising.
Because
the
they
neighborhood.
don't need to be here. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, these guys wear streets and roads. And stuff.
Oh, these ones are
Or
different.
the sign thing.
Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway,
Well,
I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them way over here So.
Maybe they're just trying to work off the
Jeez.
pancake stuff.
And they're still going after it. They're like, I know those shrimp are around here somewhere. It'll take them a while to find them over here, I think. I don't know. Good luck. So.
Just keep talking a little while. It takes me a long while to do things these days.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a side effect of one of the meds I take.
Yeah.
And folks, it's for diarrhea, so don't think that you get a big thrill out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Downing a bunch of these pills, you maybe plug yourself up for eternity.
There we go. Thanks so much.
I put them that way because there's a little bit of something sticky underneath, but obviously not that sticky because you didn't feel.
Yeah, we went to a new pancake breakfast today at Southland Trailers, and it was awesome.
That one was good.
Yeah, there weren't very many people there.
Not yet. The fancy one was on side, renovate.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I think you even.
Yeah, I did mean that one. I meant that one.
That was an awesome.
Southland
pancake
was not a
breakfast.
new one this year. They've done it before.
So we're advertising for them, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well,
Or for
we're
their
not getting
pancake
paid for
breakfast.
it. All we got was free pancakes, folks.
And they had good coffee, which I shouldn't have because it's gives me a headache. But I thought it was hot water. I was pouring into my mint tea. I put a mint tea bag into a cup, and it was coffee. So
It's going to be a bit of an
good.
adventure.
Mint coffee.
It helps it's not really, really hot. I'm sure that doesn't help out with.
Oh, they found the shrimp tails over here, so you
Good.
should have less problem with them over
There's
there.
a couple of diehards.
A couple, yeah, they're still looking for it.
Believe me, if I had a fly swatter, they would be not dying so hard. Good.
All right. There you go.
Mathematics Bible is a Firefly book. They put out things like this. For any of you folks that are really into mathematics, this is probably not for you. I kind of into mathematics, though not really into it. And I find it a nice review, although there are too many so-called scientists in here. Aside from Isaac Newton, scientists aren't really great mathematicians. Some of them aren't even very good mathematicians. They should be dealing with stats. But too many of them are into math as philosophy. So there's a scientist, Albert Einstein, was a good, I'd say an okay mathematician. As a mathematician, though, he was kind of like an okay philosopher. As a philosopher, he was the usual. Starts off with Babylonian math, Egyptian misconceptions, Egyptian multiplication, triangle of death. That would be about Pythagoras, and they didn't believe in. They only believed in like whole numbers. They figured what we call irrational numbers were dangerous, and so I guess if people were saying, there were things other than whole numbers. So whole numbers don't even include zero. The whole numbers plus zero are the natural. So yeah, Pythagoras theorem, awesome theorem. Shows how you can kind of prove it geometrically using, I presume, Euclidean methods. But this is like a square within a square. This one square is at an angle. And using that, then you end up with 4 little squares here inside a big square. And these 2 squares here are made up of these triangles on the outside of this square. And you can kind of prove by geometry an algebraic kind of relationship. Archimedes, this guy was a mathematician as well. I think it was him as being more of a scientist. I think he is maybe the greatest scientist of all time, because you have to consider where he was coming from. He died a little bit before 200 BC, and he came up with the law of buoyancy. I don't think he was using symbols, but using words, he described the law of buoyancy, an equation. And so, killed by a Roman soldier. Apparently Archimedes was, according to the story, there's probably more than a little bit of truth in it. He was drawing in the sand, and the Roman soldier, they just conquered Syracuse, the Romans said. Was it Syracuse, I believe it was, where Archimedes did much, if not all of his work. Got in Archimedes' light. Couldn't see what he was drawing. Told the soldier to get out of the light, and the soldier didn't tell him to get off of it. He just killed him. Basically, a symbol. Archimedes, his name is Greek. I'm not sure exactly where he hailed from. Back then, Greece and Italy was called Magna Graecia. They had colonies there. Different city-states did. That means big Greece, kind of like Greater Greece. And so they had more colonies there in terms of land area than they had in their homeland. Achaia, I think, is what they called it. So, yeah, the Romans were a step down, a huge step down from the Greeks. They were barbarians, basically. Barbarian, I believe, is a Greek term. It basically means something about people who speak like this, bar, 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 bar. I think gringo is the same way in Spanish, at least Latin American Spanish. Just people who speak in a crazy manner, or something like that, foolish manner. Euclid, I think he belongs here. Then it jumps up to Bern. So we've got that class, and then Al-Khwarizmi. I'm not sure where the accent comes. I think algorithm comes from that. Very poor pronunciation. My pronunciation was lousy, but algorithm for Al-Khwarizmi, Khwarizmi or Hazmi, is a pretty bad transcription or whatever rendering. So of course this guy's hewing to the line. This comes out of England, and English are really squishy when it comes to political and religious correctness and stuff like that. A real hotbed of anti-Semitism, Judeophobia, for example. They had in historical terms, a way too strong commie movement and stuff like that. So the people and their descendants who are commies, during the Cold War and before, they've kind of just transferred their witch hunting to Christians and what they would call Islamophobes and so on and so forth. So, yeah. I got a little bit about Hipu or Kipu, I think is how we mispronounce it in English. Incas use them. Don't really know exactly what it's about. It talks about the Alhambra, like the fantastic patterns to be found on the walls, and I guess other parts of the Alhambra. Yeah. Then all of a sudden we're at the Renaissance. So the first chapter, that's about all the way up to we'll say about 1400, and in Europe. So somehow or another, like the Arabs in particular, but the Muslims in general, are just preserving stuff. You notice they didn't really go beyond what the Greeks had discovered. Oh, they preserved the Greeks for Europe. Yeah, not really. I mean, they took over the Greek Empire. They called it Rum, which means Rome. The Eastern Roman Empire is Byzantium, but they took that over, actually. They ultimately took it over only about, I think it's 1453 BC. I recall it as if it were yesterday. No, I'm old, but not that old. I'm only 72. That require I'd be more than 500 years old. So yeah, like the important thing is, like it's not a great achievement to be a conduit. It's a bit of an achievement. So Arabic numerals, when you're reading Arabic script, and I actually have, I'm not great at it or anything like that. I say more I study it than I read it, Arabic, but in the original. But you'll be reading it from our point of view, back to front, and then you'll run across that so-called Arabic numeral, and you read it this way. That's because they come from India, okay? They don't come from the Muslim world, much less Arabia. So they're given credit for it, and they're given credit for algebra. That's actually an Arabic word, but we can't be fooled by things being misnamed. Here's an expert, and this is a person with a PhD who's taught at a university, expert on mathematical history. So the Arabs, amongst folks that Muslims in general, Arabs in particular, are given credit for developing algebra because of the name, algebra. No. What he says is, if anything, when they came along, they made it less, the Arabs made it less abstract, less use of symbols instead of just words for writing. So it's less abbreviated. That's what he says. From what I can tell, doesn't have an axe to grind. He's interested, he studied a lot of languages. He's interested in the contribution of the Mayans. So he and I studied a little bit of Mayan, Yucatec Mayan, modern Mayan at the university. It's not as though he's white-ocentric or whatever, Eurocentric. He's just interested in what actually happened. And that's going to be my default setting now for who developed algebra. And it ain't the Arabs, according to him. I know that's going to hurt some of you folks, but the folks who are going around saying that really don't care that much about mathematics. They're more want to make a political and religious and whatever point. They don't care about mathematics, and frankly, they don't care about the truth. Because you listen to them talk and they say, "Oh, there's no such thing as truth," and they get all up in their high horse when someone challenges one of their beliefs, to the point where they'll drum people out of universities if people are saying stuff that they don't believe in, that they don't have beliefs, according to hear them talk. So Leonardo Fibonacci, here's an example. I think these are flower seeds, maybe a sunflower seed. They actually illustrate the Fibonacci, principle? So Fibonacci was quite early, actually, 1170 to 1250, and so that's before the Renaissance. Right? Luca Paciolo, Girolamo Cardano. I don't know where the accent comes in there. Girolamo Cardano. So he's pretty amazing. He was a bit of a technologist as well as a mathematician. Factorization challenge. Bombelli in the imaginary. So there's a guy called Bombelli. It sounds like the belly of a bomb, but he actually came up with the imaginary numbers. If you don't know what imaginary number is, my trying to explain it in a few short seconds is not going to help you out. Udo of Aachen. So I think the French version of Aachen is Aix-la-Chapelle. It's located, I think, in present-day Germany. It used to be kind of like on the border between Latin and German-speaking areas. Let me think. I think, is that where Karl Marx came from? Somewhere around there. I'm not sure if that's the exact city. Not that he had much to do with mathematics. Although if you read Das Kapital, I actually recommend reading it for people who are into sociology and think that Karl Marx is about the last prophet of sociological analysis, well, up to Foucault, Michel Foucault. I don't think too many of them actually wade through all 3 volumes of Das Kapital, even in translation. And I've read a bit of it in the original German, and reading the original doesn't improve it much. But he does toss around a few numbers in there. It's basic, primitive, and his use of numbers, and frankly, misleading. I think he talks about a 50%, capitalists doing a 50% exploitation rate or something like that. No, it varies. He doesn't understand psychology. It varies on supply and demand. They can exploit more if there are fewer capitalists in a particular market, and or more consumers in a consumer market, or laborers, potential laborers in a labor market. So it's not going to be, there is exploitation by capitalists on almost every case, because what they do is they play divide and conquer, generally on the labor market or even the stock market, but also on the consumer market. There's fewer capitalists offering their wares or whatever, or offering money for labor, than there are people who are trying to get those wares or offer their labor. So they play divide and conquer, and what that means is they can exploit people. But the more people there are looking for jobs from a capitalist, or looking to buy from a capitalist, and or the fewer capitalists there are, and those sorts of things, this also applies to the stock market, the more exploitation is going to take place. And that you could put into a mathematical equation, okay? Diophantus of Alexandria. So this is kind of jumping back and forth. So Diophantus of Alexandria, this is before the Muslims went wild on the world, started wilding on the world, more than 300 years before. So circa 201 to 285 AD, Diophantus of Alexandria, and one of the most incredible books on number theory. So then they're jumping back into the Renaissance and stuff like that, because a lot of guys in the Renaissance were fascinated with Diophantine, probably mispronouncing it, equations and stuff like that. Important for number theory. Then Fermat, and it's a number theoretic kind of problem. Fermat's last theorem. It was finally proven late last century, I think maybe 1983 to 1985. Why the sloughing of dates? I think the original proof was not quite up to snuff, and it was over 100 pages, and I think it took a couple of years for the guy called Andrew Wiles, was given credit for the proof and with help apparently, to clean up that proof. Blaise Pascal,